Okay, colleagues, let's start. For the first pollution dialogue, we had around 100 people. So hopefully we will reach the same. So welcome, colleagues. Let me just open the agenda for today. I'll be moderating the second pollution-free planet dialogues. That today it's a focus on plastics, as we have two big events currently happening, INC starting next week, and World Environment Day celebrating on 5th June, focused on solutions to plastics. So just to give a bit of context, the Pollution-Free Planet Dialogues are an initiative that follows the excellent work of our colleagues in climate change subprogramme that initiated last year on climate dialogues. And it's internal briefings for UNEP colleagues on very specific topics for us to learn and exchange experiences and get to know each other and each other's work. So we will try to have these ones in monthly basis, also the climate dialogues in monthly basis, and keep changing topics based on the current events. So stay tuned. My colleagues will share the link to where all these dialogues, the climate and pollution dialogues, are being stored for your reference. There you will find the upcoming sessions, and you will find also the recordings and presentations and contacts of the people that has presented in the past sessions. So today, just to remind colleagues that when you join, please make sure that you're muted, and we will have a good time for Q&A. And feel free to start posting your questions on the chat or raise hands, and we will give you the floor during the Q&A, and we will try to answer as many questions as possible. We are recording the session for dissemination purposes, and then we will also make the recording available later. So today's agenda is first of all, we will have a short video related to plastics and the recent report that was launched on plastics. Then we will have we excused Jyoti, was supposed to join for a bit, but understandably with the INC preparations, she has an urgent meeting. However, Kakuko will give also a brief on the INC2 happening next week on her behalf. So thank you, Kakuko, and thank you, Jyoti. Then we will jump to Feng Wang, who is the UNEP Coordinator for plastics, who will give a brief presentation on the key findings of the Spotlight report, Turning Off the Tap, how the world can end plastic pollution and create a circular economy. And also will present on the UNEP One Plastic Initiative, that it's a network of colleagues around the house working on plastics. Then also we have my colleague, Aoibheann, who's actually sitting behind me, that will give preview of the preparations for World Environment Day 2023 today. She's called Aoibheann O'Sullivan. She's the coordinator of the campaign for World Environment Day and the events in the host country, who's Côte d'Ivoire this year. Then we will jump back to Kakuko, our subprogramme coordinator, and that will announce some initiatives also around the house. I will leave it to her. Then we will have the Q&A session and so on. So you will be able to share your remarks or ask your questions. So without further ado, I will ask my colleague Russell. You will have a pop-up appearing now on your meeting. Kindly answer. We are really okay. So I think it's a couple of questions. One is regarding the region. We want to know who you are and where you're connecting from in order to schedule these sessions in the best on the best timings for you. Russell, I don't see the question on the region or where you are connecting from. Are we having an issue with the poll? Okay, now is it. So I hope everybody's seeing the pop-up. Please let us know where you are connecting from. So we will do our best to mix the timings and accommodate from Asia to Europe, Africa, and the Americas colleagues to join these interesting sessions. Okay, so let's give it 1 minute. We are 81, so hopefully we get 81 responses. Okay, guys, I've submitted mine. If you didn't have time or it's not working for you, just type it on the chat where you're connecting from. Thanks. So without further ado now, I will ask Russell to play a short video of a colleague of ours that explains the issue of plastics in a very friendly and plain manner before we jump to the presentations. Thank you. Russell, please.
Plastic has become a big part of our lives. It's light, it's strong, and seems cheap. But it's wreaking havoc on our planet. Every year we produce 430 million metric tonnes of plastic, most of which becomes waste after just one use. We produce enough single-use plastic each year to fill over 21 million shipping containers. If they were stretched end to end, it would circle the Earth not once, not twice, but over 3 times. If business as usual continues, plastic production will triple by 2060. If business as usual continues, plastic could produce 19% of the world's greenhouse gas emissions by 2040, getting us further and further away from the goal of limiting global warming to 1.5 degrees. This would be very bad news for people and the planet. So the question is, how can we address plastic pollution? In a recent report, UNEP lays out how we can reduce plastic pollution by up to 80% by 2040. The first step is to reduce how much plastic we use, period. We also need to deal with the immense legacy of plastic pollution. But more importantly, we need to transform the way we produce and consume the stuff. A life cycle approach can reduce virgin plastics, eliminate problematic and unnecessary plastics, minimise waste, and keep plastic in use for as long as possible. It can also create better jobs and business opportunities. 3 important shifts are required. 1, we need to scale reuse. This means creating a market for reusable products and making it more profitable than using single-use plastic products. 2, we need to make recycling plastics more profitable. Improving recycling can reduce plastic pollution by 20% by 2040. 3, we must find ways to make products that are less harmful to the environment. This includes finding materials to replace plastics and making sure they are better than plastics we use now. In 2022, world leaders agreed to end plastic pollution. With negotiations on the binding legal agreement still underway, the question is, how can we realise that goal? If we reduce, reuse, recycle, and reorient, we can significantly reduce plastic pollution by tackling its root cause, not just its effects. If we shift to a circular economy for plastics by 2040, we could save $4.5 trillion. We would also improve the livelihoods for millions of workers worldwide. The technology and solutions already exist. It's time to take action.
great video from our colleagues in the multimedia unit. They are artists. Yes, please, Maria Delfina, if you can switch off your camera, we will have Kakuko now coming in, filling in for Jyoti. She also has a presentation. Thank you. Over to you, Kakuko.
Excellent, Carlota. Thank you, colleagues, for joining today on this exciting number 2 session under the pollution dialogue, specifically talking about the plastic pollution. And this is, as the subtitle of the session say, this is the place for you to be if you have been feeling a bit uncomfortable about all this plastic hype and you feel like, okay, UNEP is leading, but I don't know enough about this intergovernmental process happening. So I'll give you this one slide to really give you a nutshell on what is this INC2 that will be happening in Paris. Okay, so the Secretariat of Intergovernmental Negotiating Committee, that is what INC stands for, has kindly put together this nutshell slide for us, the UNEP colleagues. Now, they had all intention to be with us live, but understandably, because of so important this INC process and because the plastic is maybe the hottest environmental topic of our era, they have not been able to connect. But I can deliver to you with my best ability what is this INC2 is all about. So this is happening starting Monday at the UNESCO headquarters in Paris, France. This process, INC2, is, as you say, it's the second session of the intergovernmental negotiation. The first one already took place in Uruguay. So it's carrying forward the outcome of the Uruguay INC1, now moving on to INC2. As hopefully you know that this is coming, this process itself is from the resolution 5th of the UNEP 5, number 14, to end plastic pollution toward an internationally legally binding instrument to start controlling collectively at the planetary level the plastic so that it will no longer become pollution. The regional consultation have been happening in preparation for INC2 starting next week. It will be fully in person with some possibility of online viewing. Now, what is so special about INC2? It's just one of those many intersessional meetings that we would do? No. It is, we will be full force and really have concrete things that we look forward to achieving, making Paris count. The first, it's a critical opportunity for member states to really share their opinion about what this process should be like. Let's see, okay, and decide between possible options on how this future treaty, future legally binding agreement should look like, both from the operational side and also of the content, what a treaty, if it happens, should be covering. So there is already a paper we call the option paper that you can really get more information into it, covering both aspects about the future treaty, already submitted by Secretariat as information paper. So you will be able to study them one after this session. Also, it will be the opportunity to decide the mandate for INC3, the next session, and also the schedule of the following session along the INC process will be shared and discussed. And also there is an expectation on the deep diving discussion to take place through 2 specific contact groups. Now we are getting the meat substantive issue. One is that obligation. One group will really go deep dive on obligation. And other one is expected to go on the deep discussion about means of implementation and implementation measures. So the detail about what type of plastic should be potentially controlled, how the implementation can happen, and what kind of measures for implementation actually exist will be discussed. And the Secretariat has full intention to guide the process through with the chair of the INC process so that less time is spent on general statement and allow moving swiftly to negotiating substance. So in a nutshell, this is their ambition for Paris, making Paris count. Thank you, Carlota, back to you.
Thank you so much, Kakuko. So let's jump to the next speaker, that is Feng Wang. I think you're connecting from Paris, Feng. Thank you. So over to you.
Thank you very much. I will try to load the presentation. Please bear with me. Thank you. Carlota, can you confirm that you can see the slides?
Yes, we can see it. Please proceed.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you so much. So good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, colleagues, and thank you for joining this session. My name is Feng. I work in the Industry and Economy Division to coordinate plastic work across the organization. So today in this presentation, I will, let's say, introduce two topics. One is to have a quick recap on the recent publication, the UNEP Spotlight publication, that is called Turning Off the Tap, and also relevant summary from the scientific assessment of the plastic pollution. And then based on that, I will also give you a very short recap on what UNEP is doing on the whole plastic agenda that we call One Plastic Initiative. So the presentation will take roughly 15 minutes, and happy to answer any question follow up. Thank you. So let's look at the basics of the whole plastic issue and also the plastic pollution. So this slide takes the key messages and also information from a document that UNEP produced for the INC One as a preparation for the negotiation. That is a document we call Plastic Science. Essentially, if we look at the holistic plastic issues nowadays, that we see there is very fast growth of both plastic production and consumption, as we can see that plastic has been used in many parts of our life, our jobs, and different parts of work. Essentially, that if let's say the scenario continues as the scenario today, that we expect the plastic consumption will set to tripled in 2060. So this means that the whole economic plastic is growing very fast, and unavoidably it will generate a lot of issues. In the meantime, by looking at more specific into the composition of the plastic consumption and production use, around 40% is being used in packaging. And we see that a lot of packaging is being used in the food and beverage sector, but also in a lot of industry application. But apart from that, plastic has been widely used in many other sectors, for instance, building and construction, electronics, healthcare, health products, transportation, including automotives, and a lot of in our textiles. So the clothes we're wearing today are a lot of made from plastic. So this makes the plastic whole topic very complex, but also very diverse, so that it's not single issue in one sector, but across different industrial sector, but also a sector that's connecting to our life. In the meantime, that if we look at how plastic is being produced, still 99% of plastic is made from polymer that's coming from the oil and gas industry that's not renewable. So this means that this kind of economy is still very linear and taking a lot of resources that cannot be renewed and also recycled or reused. At the same time, by consuming plastic in our life, we generate a lot of plastic waste that's along the plastic value chain. So this means that we also use a lot of chemicals and additives in the plastic production, so that the chemicals stay within our product, which cause a lot of effects and damage on human health and also the quality of ecosystem. And please note that the chemical issue is not only associated with end of life of the waste, but also happening during the production phase, the consumption phase, and the end of life. In the meantime, that's because that plastic is primarily produced from the oil and gas industry, it has a heavy implication on greenhouse gas emission from both production side and also from end of life. So just to summarize that, the issue we face today, it's not only a pollution issue, it's also economy issue, it's a production and consumption issue. The main, let's say, root cause is a very linear plastic economy. We use this, take resources and make products, and everything become waste. This whole linear economy is not sustainable, not circular. So that's causing also a lot of leakage for plastic that go into landfill, going to the land, and also going to rivers, aquatic system, including the ocean. So this is in a nutshell that the scientific updates tell us more about the problem. Then, as you already have seen a little bit on the, let's say the video introduction, if we look at the solutions, this is the conclusion from the latest report as we just introduced. First of all, if we look at a very linear economy, the first most important priority is to reduce the size of the problem. This means that we have to reduce the production and consumption of unnecessary plastic, including single-use plastics. We also have to use the use of hazardous chemicals and hazardous additives and chemical concern into the whole plastic economy. Then we need three major market shifts to trigger new dynamics and changes, including making product more reusable. This will directly reduce the reliance on single-use plastics. Then we have to also improve the recycling of collection, sorting, and also recycling rates of different plastic products. And in the third market shift, we have to identify different alternatives that's not having new trade-off, but generate less impact compared to the existing solution we have from the plastic products. And on top of that, because plastic has been introduced into our economy for a much longer time, we already have a lot of plastic that's ending up in the environment need to be dealt with. At the same time that there are also a lot of plastic cannot be recycled and also contain chemicals that we see that's a legacy issue. So all in all that, we see these five major elements are essential to solve the plastic issues. On top of that, we need a policy and regulatory framework to trigger the system change. In the meantime, need a very strong partnership and the action from the industry. So this is where the Spotlight report that was just published last week is telling us for the major direction and areas that we have to walk. And the key message is also that these five elements need to be happening in parallel and in synchronization. This means that we cannot just handpick one or two elements and choose as a priority, but we have to do these five areas at the same time. And this is just a representative showing the plastic economy. As you can see that by looking very quickly into this graph, we see that the whole economy is still a very, very linear model. The size of economy is getting bigger and bigger. And if you look at the cycle from the left, let's say graph, there's a very, very little plastic going back to the economy. So this means that if we have to revert a kind of business as usual scenario, we have to use all those five strategies as mentioned before, so that the whole plastic economy is getting slimmer in terms of using single-use plastic and also find ways to recycle, reuse, and also recirculate the material back to the economy to be more sustainable. This is the last slide about the report, and I also need to give the credit to the whole team in the lifecycle team, especially Jens, who did a lot of hard work together with all the colleagues in UNEP to prepare this report. Essentially, that this report pointed out to a vision and also the key benefits by giving the fact that if we talk about ending plastic pollution by 2040, We mean that we need to reduce 80% of the plastic pollution by this time. And half of the solution need to come in from that we need to reduce the single-use plastic production. By doing and implementing circular economy into the plastic topic, we will see that there will be a benefit for economic benefits, less leakage and pollution, and also there will benefits for jobs creation. And also we need a lot of integrated approach by working with different elements and instruments together. So there's a link for this report that contains the key messages and solutions and a lot of facts there, and I encourage everyone to take a look. So this is the first part of the presentation that shows the basics and also the scientific analysis. The things we're developing, our solutions, our intervention in UNEP is based on scientific assessment. So based on this assessment, we have a second job or second stage to do is to see how do we frame our interventions based on all those recommendations from scientific assessment and stakeholder consultation. So in the second part of the presentation, I will go into a little bit details to introduce based on all the attention, and Kakuko, you mentioned the word hype and also the popularity of the topic, what is UNEP's response? So essentially, within UNEP, we have been developing this One Plastic Initiative to create a vision and also create a central approach to have a formulated strategy towards this plastic crisis or pollution. Essentially, a little bit background on this topic, as we all know, as Kakuko mentioned, that since March last year, there has been a huge momentum from UNEA resolution to develop the international legally binding instrument. So that from last year until the end of next year, there is a whole intensive set of negotiation among the member states and also stakeholders to come out with a new global treaty. In the meantime, we also benefit a lot from our own UNEP midterm strategy because of the three planet crisis and those three major pillars in the MTS. There is also a very, very good internal opportunity for us to come together to see, based on this new MTS, how can we design a kind of strategy based on topics, based on sectors, while engaging with all UNEP colleagues and regional offices and teams to see how can we design a comprehensive but inclusive strategy from the very beginning. So this is the result of internal development, consultation, and also collective intelligence to have this initiative in-house. And this is not formally being launched yet, but we have been taking advantage of the MTS process to develop the strategy. So essentially, we are looking at a ultimate vision to trigger system change, to accelerate the safe and just transition to a circular economy of plastic, so that we can reduce and hopefully also ending plastic pollution and impact by 2040 is a very, very long-term and ultimate goal. How are we going to achieve this vision is to adopt a programmatic approach by developing and also implementing projects at the national level, including city level, subnational level, and regional level and global level. In the meantime, this initiative will target the whole plastic life cycle, including a lot of issues from the upstream production and design phase, midstream, that's from the consumption phase, and also from different type of users of plastic companies to end of life, that's waste management and also disposal. In the meantime, that we are taking a sectoral approach. This means that we're looking to which are the key industrial sector or economic sector that are using and consuming plastics, and how do we develop sectoral based approach. We also look at a lot of cross-cutting issues like trade, knowledge, assessment, monitoring, and capacity building, awareness raising, and finance investment to see how different type of cross-cutting element can be joined together to deliver this program. Essentially, that we hope this program will gathered all UNEP team together to work on that, but also our partners who are active on the topic, so that there is a good level of consistency and cooperation across the house internally, but also with other peer agencies with a common ambition, because as mentioned that plastic is a very, very popular and also competitive topic. We have to define our niche and our position while building more stronger partnership for a very coherent delivery. So this is overall the purpose of setting this One Plastic initiative. And UNEP also has a long history across the house to work on the topic. By working very, very intensively in different working groups that been set up in the recent years, and also under the MTS, we have developed a one aligned theory change to see what are the key areas of intervention we can develop, so that we use this one central theory change to guide the design of future project and programs. Just to recap very quickly, that we have identified 6 key intervention area we do believe that can be the trigger to lead to transformation of the circular economy of plastics. The first area is to work with the industry to improve the commitments, improve the innovation and the action to address the production side and also the consumption side of the issue. Then we also need very, very strong enabling environment from regulation, laws and policies, so that we do not only develop a regulatory framework, but also support the implementation and enforcement in countries at the regional level and also at the global level. The third thing is that all our work need to be guided by science, so that we need to have proper baseline understanding what is the problem today, what is the status and situation that's being improved, and also what are the key actions and framework that we need, including national action plans. The fourth area is also very critical. We do believe that we need finance to support solutions, technology, infrastructure, and also capacity building for different aspects of the work. Finance, including both fiscal policies and also investments from the financing sector, like the banks and also insurers. The fifth area we do believe that's also equally important is to have a lot of targeted communication campaigns and advocacy to trigger social and behavior change. And the last area is working knowledge, capacity development, and monitoring evaluation as a way to understanding the changes being introduced and also see the gaps. So this is the very quick snapshot of the key intervention area that we put into the key outputs or components of our program. By having also very, very thorough consultation within UNEP and with our partners, we also establish a kind of mechanism for coordination and also governance. Within UNEP, that we have identified that industry economy division with the director Sheila as a DRI to lead the overall internal coordination, and with all the divisions, regional offices, and other colleagues across the house. The way we design the program is that by looking into the 6 components as introduced, we have each component to be led by one division. So that's the division responsible colleague will be in charge of coordinating the activities. In the meantime, beyond the 6 components, we also have a lot of work that's happening at the regional level. So we work very closely with regional offices and the regional Cs to see how the work at the component level can be replicated and impact at the regional level. In the meantime, as mentioned, that we also need to go out and also seek synergies. By using the similar theory change, we also are looking at partners per program components who are the strategy partner that are very strong in delivering either the knowledge or the action that we needed, so that we start formulating partnership with them to have joint delivery. So this is a table that's been evolving still over time, just to show how the things are being coordinated internally and also externally. This is the graph I think we're also currently developing to show this programmatic approach. We are getting a lot of inspiration from the GEF programs and GEF project by taking this approach. This means that we have 3 layers of different projects from national level to regional level to global level. As we understand that we have to develop and implement a lot of projects at the national level, but still with the resources and network we have, we will not be able to cover all countries. So this means that we will be selecting countries at the implementation targets and to develop a lot of policy implementation enforcement as example, pilots on industrial innovation, technology application, infrastructure development, to show that at the national level, what is possible and what are the solutions need to be adopted. Then we need a lot of regional projects to further upscale individual national project at the regional level. And on top of that, at a global level, we need a lot of cross-cutting topic that can provide guidance, support, assessment, especially also financing support on that, so that there are 3 layers different project designed to serve for this purpose. And over the years, this is also a draft graph that we're trying to look at across UNEP and across different offices, divisions, and also different teams. Where are our footprints, and how can we see what are the current project implementation in terms of geographic coverage, but also in terms of topics, in terms of different intervention areas. So we're still trying to have a much better thorough mapping of everything and trying to understand what is the progress we're making, but also what are the key gaps. So I have to also thank everyone that's working on this topic across different division and regional office to help us to develop and to shape the strategy. I think with this very top-down design of the work, and also combined with a lot of project from the JEF and also from non-JEF resources, we can deliver a program with a very aligned approach and a theory change. The last graph also shows how we are pulling together a kind of governance structure internally within UNEP. Because historically there have been many different type of topics, intervention across the house. By using the momentum and also guidance from the MTS, especially with a lot of support from Kakuko, we are able to pull a core central plastic project coordinating team that's divided by project components, 6 components, with all the key divisional DRIs plus the regional office. We coordinate everything of plastics through the central plastic working team. And then this team will look into all the activities, fundings, and work that's been happening in different divisions, different regions, and different countries, so that the core project coordination team executes all the activity within UNEP. In the meantime, this group will receive steering and also advice from both UNEP senior management team, but also from the project steering committee. In the meantime, on top of this kind of regular project management, we also have this UNEP Plastic Circle of Excellence that's led by Kakuko, hopefully transform and also extract all the key messages and also the update from the working group to the whole UNEP. And the dialogue Kakuko is organizing today's example to show this cooperation structure. So this is the end of my slide, and sorry for taking a long time. I have to say that this is really also a new learning process, how to improve the synergy and also the working relationship with so many different colleagues across the house. We have really seen the benefits of centralized the coordination and working with everyone in one theory change and one structure. And I really appreciate all the guidance that we have received from different colleagues, and happy to answer any question. And thank you so much.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Feng. I think that it was excellent presentation and overview. We reached 100 people connected, so we're very glad. You can start posting your questions in the chat or raise your hands as there is a queue. And now we will listen from my colleague Aoibheann on the preparations for World Environment Day. We hope all of you can get involved in some way. Thank you.
Hi, Carlotta and everyone. Thanks for having me on this call. It's really been a great opportunity to work across UNEP on plastic pollution because it is such a big topic this year. And I do want to speak to the collaboration that's happened with Feng, Laurence, Lisa, Heidi, from ecosystems to economy division to science division. We've had so much support from you guys to try and get our messaging right for World Environment Day. So I just want to say a huge thank you for that. I'll go very quickly through the slides because I think it's more important to have time for a Q&A at the end, but I'll just introduce you to what's happening with World Environment Day this year. So it is the 50th celebration of World Environment Day. As you all know, it happens on the 5th of June. The theme this year is Solutions to Plastic Pollution. And we're using the hashtag Beat Plastic Pollution, which was a really big hashtag in 2018 and has been a very strong hashtag for UNEP since then. What's different this year is the focus on solutions. Everybody knows about the problem. What actions can people take to overcome this? The host country this year is Côte d'Ivoire, and we're being supported by the Netherlands. And the official policy event will take place in Abidjan on the 5th of June. And actually, very conveniently, in the afternoon of the 5th of June, there's an Africa CEO Forum taking place in Abidjan with 2,500 CEOs from across Africa there. And Inga will be speaking at that too, on a panel co-coordinated with IFC on solutions to plastic pollution. So the tone of the campaign, as you can already see, and if you've started to see our assets coming through, is very positive, intentional, and vibrant. Because it's World Environment Day, we have to have a clarity of voice and we have to be accessible. So it's a wide tent and we allow as many people in as possible. So we really keep that with our language and our choice of imagery and videos. We also want to be practical and solution focused. So that is the main emphasis of the messaging that we have this year. Our key audiences, we've cleaved them into two camps. So we have governments, cities, businesses, and organizations, and we're encouraging them to act, commit, and set new norms and standards, because they're the entities that have the power to actually affect change. And then individuals, groups, and communities, we're asking them to use their voice and their choice and push on those entities of power to make change and make change at scale. The design this year is fantastic. Our design team have taken influence and inspiration from Ivorian color and pattern work, and you'll see that throughout the designs. And of course, the future is circular. So from those Ivorian pattern works, we have these circularity icons that keep appearing through our work. As you know, May this year for people in the environmental sector is all about plastics. So the BRS convention took place at the beginning of May. The Turning of the Tap report was launched on the 16th of May. Our Beat Plastic Pollution Practical Guide went out on the 17th of May, and I'll give a link in the chat to that. We have the INC taking place next week, and then on the 5th of June is World Environment Day. So how can you guys help us to get the message out there? We want everyone to encourage their partners, friends, associated organizations on your social media channels, on your LinkedIn, to download and share the practical guide. So again, I'll put the link in the chat. It's very user-friendly. It's going to be translated into a number of languages, and it separates our audience into governments, cities, the private sector, the financial industry, community groups, and individuals. And there's solutions for each of those sectors. We're also really encouraging people to register their activities. It can be an activity, an action, a webinar, a report launch on the World Environment Day map. And then also to show their support on social media by sharing the multimedia content. And you can see how beautiful our Trello board is looking in all these amazing languages and with this vivid colors. So again, I'll share these links in the chat for you guys to share on your own social channels as well. And also to please help us share with partners. But one of the most important places I would really love to get your support on is our featured updates or our live updates. So this is a section on the website that is really busy. We're able to embed videos, hyperlinks, but what's key is you'll see on the right side there's a ticker, a timer, and each of those have a sub URL. So each post has its own micro URL that partners and associated organizations can share that on social media. And when their friends see it, they come to this page and they start scrolling up and down. So it's a really, really busy place on our website. Tens of thousands of people come here, and we can really feature your work, your recent reports, any videos that you guys have been doing, but also your partner organizations who you work with in this space. So we're really happy to help out on that. And thanks again for the time, Carlotta and team for letting me speak on this topic here. And I hope you can reach out to me whenever you want if you need to find out any more information. Cool. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ivan. Great visuals and great work being done digitally and in the host country in Côte d'Ivoire. So colleagues, I have already one question in the chat, but no hand raised. So please feel free to start raising your hand and we will move to the Q&A. So first of all, the first one is for Feng. I'm going to read it aloud. Is Chen asking, understanding the plastics pollution baseline, it's important at the moment. We have a big data gap on country plastic pollution info, but collecting data is expensive and time-consuming. How we can balance or prioritize data monitoring and action? Over to you, Feng.
Yeah, thank you for the question. I see also maybe more questions coming, so I will be short. And indeed, data is very critical, and it's time-consuming and expensive. I think the solution is that what we are doing in-house is that Heidi from Ecosystem Division, working a lot in the GPMO, is to develop harmonized methodology and guidance to see how we can create a national source inventory for plastic pollution from the very upstream source to the let's say downstream and also leakage. So first of all, we need a aligned and harmonized framework. In the meantime, collecting data individually is very expensive. If we usually have to get a sensible baseline from the experience of several projects, we need at least 30 to 50 thousand US dollar at least. If we want to get really much more in depth, we can even definitely increase the budget. But having said that, the natural data source that can be usually harmonized is the statistical data. So this is also where our colleagues at the DEVA and then our science division is creating statistical guideline. And also hopefully by this overall trend of plastic negotiation, there will be some aligned expectation and objective that will also further guide the evolvement and improvement of statistical data collection. So by using this kind of institutional resources from the countries, having aligned methodology approaches, linking statistical work with HOS code and trade data, I think by doing that, improving the consistency, the cost and effort on data collection will be much reduced. And hopefully, I think this is the scenario we're working toward with. I hope that addressed your question. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Feng. My apologies. Before we move on to Mushtaq and Almasi, I'll bring back Kakuko, that she wanted to update you also on another initiative. So Kakuko, over to you, and then we just go back to Q&A. Thanks.
Okay, so this is a quick announcement, but very much following some of the things that Feng talked about as a strategy. In fact, there was once upon a time, there was a group called Circle of Excellence. And it stemmed from a small group of people who were really seeing the light and the future for UNEP as a niche to work on the topic that we can really contribute to solve a very important planetary problem, which is plastic pollution. And so we are, I think you skipped one slide. There is another slide before. Okay, so good news is this is the announcement. Drum roll. This is the announcement of revamped UNEP Circle of Excellence. Now for the plastic ambition. So we are saying that before was plastic action, UNEP Circle of Excellence for plastic action. Now it's UNEP Circle of Excellence for plastic ambition. We now have a new term of reference for it, and it starts operating this month. And the first phase of this revamped Circle of Excellence will be operating until March 2024. Just foresee oversee safely the completion of the plastic pollution agenda in the UNEA 6. And we'll have 3 task teams, one on advocacy and outreach, and partnership for efficiency and impact, and horizon scanning and innovation, including technology and some of the assessment tools and innovation that one of the colleagues want to know more about. Now, as you know, the Circle of Excellence previously was a award-winning initiative in-house of UNEP. And because of their work, in fact, the great theory of change that Feng's project is now built upon, really the thought leadership came from the previous phase of this Circle of Excellence. So, next, please. So now you join today's the dialogue session. That means that you are interested in plastic pollution. Whether you're working directly on an issue or project related to plastic, but if you feel that you have something to contribute to demonstrate UNEP-wide leadership, collaboration, and communication to raise ambition about the plastic pollution and beating it, then please contact us, Lolita, who is now with me in the Policy and Program Division, Subprogramme Coordination Unit. Contact Lolita to let us know that you are interested to be part of this new Circle of Excellence. We will bring together UNEP expertise, enhance interaction, and really make sure that as UNEP as a whole, we have clear communication about what we are doing and what we can achieve together. Thank you. So this is announcement. Now back to you, Carlota.
Thank you, Kakuko. So being mindful of the time, I give the floor to Mushtaq. Please keep it to 30 seconds so we can address another question before we close. Thanks.
Thank you. So my question is on the data, though, I mean, a very good presentation by Feng, congratulations. So is that as experiences suggest there will be no perfect data even on the reporting on Basel and so on. So it's good to start with the low-hanging fruits. That means the countries which already have a good data to start putting that on a so-called the World Plastic Pollution Situation Room in a way. So that will help really to motivate others. On the World Environment Day, as we are talking about the solutions, though we also organizing 2 major, like here I will provide details later on the solution side. But can we have this, because every year we forget about it, even when we had beat plastic pollution, we never follow up like what happened after that. So if we can keep this web page of this World Environment Day open for years to come, where we get all the impact, all the solutions like which we are launching, being launched on the World Environment Day, we see the progress or the impact of that. So if these 2 suggestions are there, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, go ahead, Stephen.
Thanks so much for that question. So about the World Environment Day, one of the best things that we're doing this year, which is a new innovation, is we're trying to create a long tail on the content and make it evergreen. So a lot of what you see on our cool World Environment Day website will migrate after World Environment Day into the Beat Plastic Pollution page on the unep.org website. So we won't lose this knowledge and we won't lose the data. So I just wanted to point that out. Thanks so much.
Do you want to add something, or it's related to the data which you already replied to? Okay. We cannot hear you, Feng. Sorry.
Okay, sorry. I mean, I do not have much more to add, and fully agree with the point from Mushtaq, and thank you for that. Yeah.
Thank you. So I'm mindful of the time. It's 2 minutes to 4 in Nairobi. So I'm just asking Russell to launch another short questionnaire for the organizers to assess the session. And yes, we have recorded it, and we will put all together the PowerPoint presentations in one post on the intranet and circulate with you. Thank you so much for joining, and see you in the next dialogue. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you, Feng. Thank you, Kakuko and Ivan.